let's get into it. This is a show with hosts Paul Scheer, Diane Raphael, and Jason Mantzoukas. And I chose to do this show with you because I know that you're a fan, and you're a fan of movie review podcasts because you host a movie review podcast.
I got to tell you, Karl, this is like next level trolling on your part here. Not only do you pick a show that I legitimately enjoy, but it's a show that does the same thing as I do, but they are wildly more successful.
Well, then they don't do the same thing that you do. and I'll tell you what, because I'm a fan of this show, I don't listen to it anymore, but I used to listen to it quite a bit. And what they do that I enjoy that's different from your show is rather than go through and recap everything that happened in the movie, they assume that you've watched it, you're familiar with it, and they just pick it apart.
Okay, I mean, that's fair.
Which I think is a good formula. What my wife and I used to do is on Saturday nights, we'd watch one of the terrible movies and then immediately listen to their review of it afterwards. It was kind of a fun way, because I like bad movies, so it's kind of a fun way to enjoy this show, is to be really familiar and see if like all the things that you thought sucked, they think sucked as well. The problem with this show, and I'm sure we'll get into it, is that 2/3 of the hosts fucking suck. They suck out loud. 1/3 of the hosts is hilarious and makes the show listenable. And it's amazing that he's able to do that. Of course, I'm talking about this guy, Paul Scheer. Him and his wife, Diane Raphael, are two of the hosts that I'm speaking of. And I pulled a show from back in February because this show is typically live in a theater. When you hear this show, there's a big audience. They're playing off the audience. It's not always the best way to do a podcast, but I wanted to capture that for our review of How Did This Get Made. And Paul comes out. They're talking about Space Jam. Now, this is a movie that I've seen, ironically, because I knew it sucked.
It's terrible.
It's the worst movie. So they're talking about Space Jam, and Paul comes out, and he always starts off the show by himself, and then he brings out Jason, and then he brings out June. He starts off, he doesn't even know what he's going to say. This is the first thing. This is like the intro to the show in front of a theater full of people.
All of them are here in a movie that could be a movie that some of you think is flawless. And I'm here to tell you, you might be wrong. It might be great, but not for the reasons that you think.
So he stumbles out of the gate, and the whole point of this is that they're in Chicago, and of course, this is a movie that stars Michael Jordan, so Chicago is supposed to like it for some reason, even though it's a pile of garbage. So that's pretty much what this episode is them arguing with Chicago over whether this is a good movie or not. And honestly, going back and listening to it, there were some parts that I enjoyed, and then some parts that get me so frustrated that I realize why I stopped listening to the show. I'm sorry, I am hogging up all of the airtime here.
It's you fine. Have a clip you and I, that sums up the show? Yeah, we clipped different episodes. I clipped the most recent episode, which was them talking about the failure of a movie that is Cats. But like you said, they're normally in an auditorium, they're normally playing to a live crowd. And I've been through this show from the beginning. I mean, I listened to this from the start where they were in a studio, then they recorded their live shows, which were much better than studio. Now they're back sort of in a studio, and it's really, really not as interesting or funny as it used to be. And I think a lot of it has to do with the fact that they're not in the same room together now.
Right. Yeah, they're all in like some type of Zoom call or something. Even Paul and June, who I assume live together, are not even in the same room together.
June sounds like shit in this episode. Like, I don't know what she's recording on. They live together in a home and they're not recording together. It's so bizarre. I don't understand it.
Well, since you brought that up, I want to play something for you, because what they do is they put out their main episodes, and in between those episodes, there's these mini episodes. And these mini episodes are unlistenable. It's where Paul sits there and just random nonsense. There's nothing funny. It's a lot of like listening to voicemails. It's a lot of people asking for advice on things that have nothing to do with movies or anything that Paul's ever done in his life. None of it makes sense to me. But this part I thought was interesting because this is a machine, this show. They find every single way to make money. Every single way a podcast can make money, these guys do it. And God bless them. I am all for capitalism and however they want to do this. But this sounded crazy to me if you want to watch one of these Zoom calls that they call a live stream?
So I'll tell you a little bit about that. These live shows are tremendously fun. You can watch them 48 hours after we record. We watch it live, or up to 48 hours after we record. One ticket is $15. If you want to buy tickets for both, it's $25. So not a bad deal at all. And it's not ticket per person, obviously, ticket per household. So $15, and you can invite over 50 people if you want. I mean, that would be a bummer because then we only got $15. But
I don't know of any other show that's doing this.
No.
They're saying this is a free show that anyone can listen to, but if you want to watch us do it, then you pay $15.
This is insane, because I listen to another podcast that's similar to this. It's called The Flophouse. 3 guys, they do the same thing. And they do live shows constantly, but they've put things up on YouTube. And it's 100% free now. You don't have to pay to see these guys, but they'll do the same sort of live show stuff that they normally do. They give these presentations before they talk about the movie. It's great, and it's free. And these people are just fucking assholes. Like, I hate the fact that I cannot dig through the back catalog without subscribing to Stitcher Plus or whatever the hell it is.
Yeah, so let's talk about all the different ways that they're monetizing this show. So yes, the archive is behind a paywall. That's one, because I would have liked to have gone back to years ago when I really enjoyed the show and talked about what was great about it then, but you can't. So there goes that. Obviously, they have live shows for almost every single show before COVID. So they were charging a pretty, I think it was like, what, $60 a ticket or something? I don't know. Whatever.
Oh, yeah.
Doesn't matter. So they're charging a certain amount of money to go see them do it live. They will take donations. They'll do shout outs to people if you give them $100, which is insane. They also, of course, have tons of advertising. The advertising is off the charts on this show. What am I missing?
It's funny you talk about the advertising, because I don't know if you listened to the Cats episode. Maybe you did. Maybe
I did.
It's nearly 2 hours long.
Yes.
So they play these little stingers when ads will play, and I'm wondering if they might be in trouble, because listen to what they left in this show. Play my number 12. They have 2 ad breaks.
Can I just bring up one thing here too? Hot air balloon. Let's get to the questions here from the crowd, because
you could edit that stuff out. Like, I don't understand.
I'm glad you picked up on this, because I'll tell you what's happening here. This is a newer phenomenon that we're going to see more and more as we start to review these shows. What the feed that you get is different than the feed that I get. I listened to it through my app, and that was what I heard as well. And then I downloaded it from Apple Podcasts in order to clip it, and there was an ad in there. It's dynamic insertion. So they're putting in timestamps, and then if there is an ad to serve to somebody based on who you are, they'll put an ad in there. If there isn't, it's really a weird, obnoxious thing where it's just like this empty ad spot.
Holy shit. Okay.
What sucks about that, from my perspective, is I'm writing down timestamps in my phone, and they're not the real timestamps when I download the show, and there's fucking ads in it. It was 6 minutes apart. It took me forever to find the shit I was looking for.
So is this why you didn't click Cats? Is that what's happening here?
That's just a me thing. I have Cats clips, but you know what? You're so good at your homework. You sent me clips days ago, and I saw that you had a ton on Cats. I'm like, he's got this covered. I'll go back and listen to a theater show. But so that's the reason why you have those slots. And I guess you're just not a marketable person. You must not have any buying power. You're not fitting any demo that they care about, because they're like, we can't sell an ad to this fucking guy. Nobody wants to advertise to him.
I'm extremely poor. I don't, I get it.
What do you have? What do you have that you want to talk about on this show?
You know what I do want to talk about very briefly is you talked about how Jason Mantzoukas is the funniest one on the show.
By far.
He's extremely talented. Yes. I mean, he is lifting these two, he's carrying these other 2 hosts with him throughout this podcast. And I'm going to do something that Croge did last time, where for some reason he thought those 2 dickheads were super funny. So I do want to play a couple of clips. If you play my number 2, I kind of enjoyed this joke, and Jason does a pretty good job of injecting actual humor throughout the podcast.
I just watched it. I feel unwell. I feel unclean. I feel like a way that if I felt this way in normal circumstances, I would take myself to the hospital to say, what is wrong with me? But I can't do that. I can't just walk into an ER right now and be diagnosed with fucking cat's fever or whatever I just got.
I enjoy him. He's helping me get through these shows now, even if they are nearly 2 hours and pretty much unlistenable. Play my number 4 real quick, because I like that even when Paul tries to actually start the podcast, Jason won't let him.
I have there's so much to say, and I'm so happy that we're doing this in a visual medium for people that are here tonight, because we're gonna have to. I don't want to have to relook at any of. I don't want to have to look at. I don't want to see Cats ever again. I don't want to hear Cats ever again. I don't want to hear these songs ever again. I don't ever want to hear the word jellicle or rum tum tugger.
All right, I want to tell you what I'm hearing play out here.
Yeah.
What's happening is you have this guy, Paul Scheer, who is involved in a lot of things that I like, and I don't know why. He's never made me laugh. He's not a funny person, but he's not what his wife is, which is anti-comedy. So you have this one guy who's just a 0, and then you have Jason Mantzoukas, who's bringing it 10 all the time, and then you have the negative 10 on the other side, who turns the whole show into a 0. This is my math skills at work right now. I don't know if you guys realize calculus coming through on the show today. But I want to play a couple examples of how unfunny June Diane Raphael is, because she sucks the life out of the show by interrupting funny, talented people all the time. This is June interrupting Jason, and she has nothing.
It's not just that it's a spaceship, it is a cartoon spaceship. You know, like,
that's what's so weird. I guess I don't know. Are cartoons, is the presence of cartoons just integrated into this reality? I don't know. It seems like people are just okay with cartoons living, worlds of cartoons living underneath them, above them.
She interrupted Jason to talk about something they had already discussed, because that's the main thing about Space Jam is like, what the fuck's going on? Why are there Looney Tunes in the real world and no one's reacting to it? Like, that's crazy. So she has to bring it up again. They've already covered that.
Yeah.
She had to interrupt him. Here's another example of her hijacking the conversation, but she has nothing to say. She can't even formulate a sentence here.
When they do decide to play this basketball game.
Wait, but okay, so Paul, I'm sorry, back up, buddy. So the reason why, so more on Mountain. So the amusement park isn't doing well, or people are complaining?
Yes.
Oh my God. So she has to hijack the conversation to talk about something that was addressed in the movie that we already understand why the plot is what it is. It's crazy. It's stupid. It's a terrible movie. But she's like, guys, did you realize this plot is stupid? Like, yes, we did, June. You're not helping at all. I think what happened in early on episodes, she would say dumb things and then Jason would goof on her. And now she's just leaning into it. Oh, I'm the dumb person who doesn't get anything. It's like, all right.
Yeah. She's playing 2 roles on this podcast. The one is like the aloof idiot, like you said, when she asks like, what's a street fighter, or talking about BB-8, she once asked what's its mission. And they really, really lean into that heavy and make fun of her because of that. And then she also sort of plays the mother at times too. It's like, now boys, calm down. This is serious stuff. And you're right. She is not funny at all. Listen to play my number 9. I think Jason tries to set Paul and June up for a joke, but listen to June's long-winded, meandering, and unfunny response.
What is a jellicle? I'm not kidding. What's a jellicle?
I think a jellicle, because I want to say I saw the movie, I didn't do any research on it. I really wanted to come here and just have like an authentic, honest experience of the motion picture. But
I did the same.
I think a jellicle cat is a cat that can be reincarnated. So I think a jellicle cat is a cat that can live many, many lives, and once it's done with its like time on this earth, can head out in a hot air balloon and then be born again.
This is a comedy podcast.
It's supposed to be.
I cannot even believe it. Play the one right before that, because it takes her forever to get out a simple but also uninteresting and unfunny thought out. I cut out a little bit in the middle of this, but it takes her forever to just communicate a simple, stupid message.
Can I
stop. Wait a second. I'm sorry. I am so sorry. So, okay, because here's, I want to start at the very beginning. I thought for sure the narrative here, the story, what I'm going to walk away with is going to be so much more than about, like, the story is going to be much more than just about cats.
So here's what I have in my notes here, because this is what I don't understand. Why does June have so much confidence that she can interrupt funny comedians on the show to spit out nothing? Where does this confidence come from? The thing that we haven't pointed out yet, which people might not know, is that all three of these people are actors who have been in TV shows and movies. They're successful Hollywood celebrities. And I can't figure out why Paul or June are successful in Hollywood. I don't see anything that they're doing that makes them talented. Here's another example of June interrupting someone to ask a dumb question.
We are now being taken to the moon to work as indentured servants.
So then where does basketball play in?
So Bugs Bunny then quickly comes up with a plan and goes, you can't kidnap us unless you give us a shot or some bullshit.
He writes it in like a fake rule book.
Yes, and tapes it in there very badly. And then
she's asking a question that anyone who watched the movie would know the answer to. And like I said at the beginning here, they don't explain the plot of the movie. That's not the point of the show. It's to goof on it. I don't think she even knows that. I don't think she knows what the point of their fucking show is. Because she's out there going, wait a second, why do they play a basketball game? The basketball game is the fucking movie, you moron. Did you miss that part?
She's been on hundreds of episodes of this show. I don't know, 300 some episodes of this show. I can't even believe it. You didn't ask me to play a clip of the show to me. Usually start with that, but I'm not trying to drag you on your own show. But play my number 16, because what this show has become is just them talking over each other and pretending. I know they're pretending to be having a good time. It's number 16.
I mean, listen.
I mean it when I say
by
that.
The way, Paul,
we're all in agreement. That's the best part.
And we all are.
I said to you, Paul, last night. I'm sorry, I'm screaming.
No, I love that we're all pointing. We're all doing it. It's the best.
Oh yeah, it's the best. People talking over each other is the best. Everyone knows that. That's the best thing about a podcast. Not being able to understand what anyone's saying.
This is one of those shows that people paid for. Yep. This is one of those shows that eventually became free. But could you imagine spending your $15, your $25, your $35, depending on how many households I guess you have, and this is the content that you're given?
No, I can't imagine that. And there was a time that I would have gone to see these guys if they had come to a theater near me, because I really did enjoy their show. And now, one of the problems that I have with these people, I think that wokeness is the enemy of comedy. And I have a clip on here that I call Woke June. She's talking about, in the movie Space Jam, the Monstars steal the talent of professional basketball players in order to beat the Looney Tunes at this game of basketball. You following me here, Chris?
Yes.
So Charles Barkley loses his talent to a Monstar.
Yeah.
And they're explaining what happened after he lost his talent. This is Woke June.
I also took issue with the fact that when they don't have talent, it seems like the barometer for that, for us to really understand as an audience that they have lost their basketball talent, is that, I mean, we understand why, and it's because they've lost to a bunch of girls playing basketball. And that was really upsetting.
Yeah.
Oh, let's get some clapter going for June's point about how they beat up on they got beat by girls, so that means that they suck now. And then Paul, of course, agrees.
And I'll do it. And he just happened to find women or young girl basketball players. And I was like, okay, yeah, it's no difference then. But then in the next scene, he's like, I was beaten by girls. I was like, oh, well, okay,
June,
fuck this movie.
Paul said, fuck this movie, because Charles Barkley was upset he got beaten by girls. All right, I'm going to say something that's not controversial at all. Men are better at basketball than women are. Professional NBA players will beat any woman team that you want to put together. And you can even go back through centuries of time and find the greatest athletes. And the guys who ride the bench for the fucking, I don't know, Celtics. I couldn't think of a basketball team name. I don't watch the NBA.
We dig deep for the Boston Celtics.
I know. I couldn't think of one. I was going to say the Wolverines. I'm like, that's not even NBA. All right, anyway, the point is this. That's fucking retarded. Guys are better at basketball than women. This is a well-known fact. Stop being so goddamn woke that you're retarded.
This is a cartoon. This is a movie about cartoons. Like, this is not a conversation that should even be had in discussing the movie because it's not funny. This isn't comedy, what they're doing. If you play my number 17, they take a joke that would entertain my 5-year-old for 20 minutes and they run it into the ground laughing like idiots. And they are professional actors / comedians.
I just want to make sure you're saying it's snot, not it's not.
No,
right?
I'm not saying it's not. I'm saying
right.
It's not.
It's snot.
It's
no.
snot. It's not.
I'm saying it's snot. It's snot.
What I am saying is it's not.
It is. It's snot.
It's not, but
it's snot.
No, it'd be a snot. Snot. There it is.
It's not.
God, the fake fucking laughter.
I could not believe the snot joke and how it kept coming up again and again and again over the course of 2 hours. And it's like they've never said that before in their lives, and they find it so hilarious.
And not for nothing, I've never seen the movie Cats, but I watched the trailer. It is a pile of shit. There's so much to make fun of there. They could have had a lot of jokes. All they kept talking about were the same points over and over again. Are they humans or are they cats? Because they seem to be walking on their hind legs, but sometimes they aren't. And sometimes they are. Some of them wear clothes. Some of them don't wear clothes. Are the ones that without clothes naked? Like, okay, we get it. There's other things to make fun of in this fucking movie. And they kept railing on the same points over and over again. Like, right now, I'm not talking about June's wokeness. I've already talked about that. I'm moving on. Actually, that's not true. Do you know about the Jane Club? Are you familiar with this?
No, I don't know what that is.
So, I don't like to get into things outside of the podcast normally, but one of the reasons why this show has gotten so bad is because Paul and June are so woke and they're involved in all this nonsense.
Right.
She co-founded this organization called the Jane Club, starting at $40 a month. I don't know what the tiers are after that. Listen to their mission statement from their website. And then listen closely, Doc, because I want you to explain to me what the fuck these people do, okay? As we strive to be the mother of all workspaces, we are committed to creating a culture wherein people can be their whole selves across race, gender, sexuality, class, ability, and age, where they can share their work, their dreams, their fears, their grief, and their joy. A physical and a digital space where inclusiveness is instinctive and not instructive.
That sounds terrible. Like, that sounds like a horribly boring company. I don't even...
What did I just read?
Who are they? What are they doing?
What does that mean?
That means nothing. That means we're not going to have any fun at all.
I think it's a
get
book
ready
club.
for it.
I think it's a fucking book club, if I'm not mistaken.
Wait, what?
Yes, because there's like 3 main things that they do, and the third one is like a book and a newsletter.
Wait, a book club where you can feel comfortable, crying in front of other people? Something like that?
Something like that. So I go on the Who We Are page, and it shows all of the dozen women who are the leaders of this organization. And of course, they have to have their pronouns on there, because that's so important in 2020 to know that. Guess what?
No, I've heard
Guess
that.
what every single woman's pronouns are? She, her, hers. Yes, because you're women. We get it. Why do you have to put that on there if all of you are women and you all have female pronouns? So just to tie up this segment with a bow, this woke part, Paul's doing his mini episode.
Oh, God, those mini episodes. I tried to pull from one of those. That I can't listen to that.
Oh, I did it for us, Doug. Don't you worry.
Oh, great.
He's got a little segment on here that he likes to do.
If you're bored and need something new, here's some things that you can do. Paul's pick of the week.
All right, so you got nothing going on, obviously, because you're listening to a fucking How Did This Get Made mini episode. So it's like, well, what do you want to do with your time? Paul will give you some advice on something that you can do.
I'll tell you what has been really fun for me. I've been reading this great book called Caste, about the caste system in America. It's written by Isabel Wilkerson, The Invisible Caste System. It's It's a great book.
Oh, wow. What a fun read that must be from comedian Paul Scheer. Thanks for that advice. Let me read about the caste system in America.
It sounds like he's reading that, and I can picture June with a gun to his head behind him.
Yes, you better understand. By the way, these people obviously feel very guilty that they're so well off because they're very well off. They've had a lot of hit shows. They've been in a lot of movies, and I think that they know they have no talent, and so they feel like, well, maybe it's because we're white, and maybe all white people should feel guilty about this.
Well, in the Cats episode, and I didn't clip it, but there's a part where June she's talking about knowing couples who live in different houses and still make their relationship work. And she's like, we all know people like that. I'm like, I don't know anybody like that.
I got my mansion up in Seattle. I got my mansion in San Francisco. My wife stays at one place.
Like,
we all know people
insane.
Like that.
Like, I don't know anyone who can afford multiple houses and then live in separate rooms in those houses, then their spouse. It was so bizarre that she was like, yeah, this is just something everybody does, right?
The other part that sucks about them being in the Hollywood group is that they can't be, they have to stay friends with everybody. So they can't really go after people. Here's an example of all three of them telling us how much they love James Corden.
I could talk for, I'm going to say 1 hour with uninterrupted simply about the James Corden musical number.
Okay, I have an issue. I like James Corden a lot. I feel like they were like, this movie is not really working. Let's cut to him to kind of undercut the movie because he really just calls out like, this ain't working, and I know it.
He is working, and I also like James Corden. He is working so hard.
Guys, it's a shitty part. He shouldn't have taken the part. It's a terrible movie. It's embarrassing. It's okay to call him out. I mean, James Corden's the greatest. I mean, we all love James Corden. I want to get booked on a show.
I have never heard anyone under the age of like 60 say that they like James Corden. Okay, once your AARP magazine comes in the mail, I think it's okay to like share clips of his car karaoke online. But it's like in the 90s, like you never heard anyone with an ounce of coolness say, yeah, you know what? I like Jay Leno. I think his show's pretty funny. Like, I hate James Corden. Everybody hates James Corden.
No, you know who likes
these people.
You know who likes James Corden is Howard Stern, and that should tell you everything you need to know right there.
Did they vacation together at some point?
Probably. So one of the problems with doing a podcast in a theater is that you treat it like a rock show rather than a podcast.
Mm-hmm. How we doing, Chicago? Oh, all right, balcony. Yeah.
He's coming out there. How we doing, Chicago? It reminded me of one of my favorite bands of all time.
And we thought they knew how to rock in Shelbyville. But nobody rocks like Springfield.
So because it was Jason Mantzoukas who was doing that, he does make up for it minutes later when he says this.
Fuck this movie. Also, fuck you, Chicago.
So it actually made it all worthwhile right there.
That actually does feed into my number 18 where Jason does his best Patty C. Cups impression.
Okay.
Hey, audience, don't come at us. I don't need to hear from you.
I think that Patty C. Cups has said that verbatim. Yes. I believe those words have come out of his mouth in that order. We played it on the show. That's fucking funny. Let's get back real quick on June's stupidity. I have a couple clips that I want to play. The first one is about Space Jam. She's confused why the movie is called Space Jam.
Why is this movie called Space Jam?
They're not in space.
Why?
They are not in space.
How are they defining the word jam?
Well, I think like jam, like
What's
basketball.
What's a jam?
Like an NBA
now,
jam.
Let me ask you this. Maybe I don't know.
Oh, okay.
Oh, yeah.
She didn't know that jam means slam dunk.
Of course she did. Of course she did. This is all played for hilarious laughs, as she is the aloof individual on here. If you play my number 22, in this Cats episode, she tries and fails so miserably to do something just like this. And I was shocked that after this line, Jason didn't say, that's the t-shirt, print them up.
I was surprised to see male cats. Like, I actually, as I was watching this, had the thought, like, are there male cats?
That was the second clip I was going to play. That's exactly what I picked up on. I'm like, nobody is so stupid that they think that all cats are female. It wouldn't work that way. Just think through for a second on how that might work out, and it wouldn't. I can't believe there's male cats. I didn't know that there were male cats. Good one, June. Wow, you're the dumbest person ever exists. Neat. Congratulations.
Listen, play my number 10, because I don't know why on some Zoom call or wherever they're doing this, they feel like they're just trying to fill time, and June tells a very boring story.
I watched Regis and Kathy Lee from first grade on. I would wake up on the summers, I would wake up at 8 a.m., head to Channel 7, Eyewitness News, and I would watch Lucy from 8 to 9, or 8 to 8:30, or 8:30 to 9, and then watch Regis.
Neat.
Why is she so, and why does she feel like she has to get like the time of day that I Love Lucy reruns played like 25 years ago?
I'm not sure. I think that she thinks she's interesting. And this is something that happens to a lot of women, because men pay attention to them when they're talking and they go, I must be saying something interesting. You're not. You most certainly are not. I can assure you of that. All right. I have, I talked earlier about the fact that Paul is just a zero. He's not
100% a zero.
He's a zero. He's not anti-comedy like June is, but he's not interesting or funny. He's talking about Michael Jordan's acting here. And he's doing something that you would only know if you were watching him, because he's in a theater, but he's not even getting anything from the crowd in the theater, so it's obviously not funny.
It feels like the camera's like mounted on his chest. Like a lot of the times his head and neck are arcing backwards, like someone's like dangling a knife at his throat, like, get back, I'm gonna get back.
It's so embarrassing. Here's another example of him trying to be funny, but it's not funny at all, and it's kind of just an annoying point.
I would be a little bit offended that they named a dog after me.
Yeah.
Like, Michael Jordan's dog is Charles Barkley, but like the dog is named Charles. I'd be like, motherfucker, I showed up to your movie. You named a dog after me? Fuck you, Michael. Go fuck yourself. Call that dog Shaq.
Boom! Hot take!
What a lame observation that is.
Oh, lame.
I would be offended that the dog was named Charles Barkley. Would you? So, because these are all improv professionals, nobody picks up anything from that. There's nothing to say about it. And then he has to double down because no one's picking it up.
I mean, seriously, I thought that was offensive to Charles Barkley.
It's not. It's a pun. I think everybody understands how puns work.
Yeah, it's a terrible, terrible movie that made one pun that is possibly somewhat entertaining, and that's your problem with this movie. That's the hill you're going to die on.
I know. What a lame observation to make. Like this is the thing I wrote down in my notes while I was watching this movie. Why? That's not the thing that we should be talking about.
I have recently come to the conclusion that Paul is like the whole of this group. And it really came to a head. My number 14, I'm not saying June's very funny, but she and Jason are imitating the way that the songs are sung in this terrible Cats movie.
Yeah.
And Paul comes in and just kind of ruins it, and then sort of realizes he ruins it, so he stops and lets them keep going.
The rest of the movie is people talking like this and saying Jellicle, saying names, saying names of cats.
This is a musical.
Types of cats,
The
railway
ball
cats,
is tonight.
beat cats,
Magic is
ninja
the cat.
cats, all
Here we
different
go.
types of cats.
Up and down.
Meow.
Here we go.
Cat.
I'm like,
The
can
town.
I?
Cats,
Meow,
cats,
meow,
cats,
meow,
cats,
meow,
cats.
meow.
Here we
We
go.
are
Here we
cats.
go.
You
This is
are a
cats.
cat.
Ring
We
the
are
doorbell.
all
Steal the
cats.
fish. Now I'm wearing a necklace.
It's so embarrassing.
It's embarrassing.
Oh, Paul. Oh, man. Wow. You know what? I'm actually excited about this. These guys are making a fantastic living at podcasting. That's how easy it is to be a professional podcaster.
Sure.
You can just make nonsense noises and embarrass yourself, and people will pay $15 to watch you do it live. That's amazing. I'm excited.
You can make jokes about snot for 10 minutes of a 2-hour podcast, and it works. Now, there is one point that I thought was pretty funny. If you play my number 19, like low-hanging fruit and juvenile humor sometimes lands. I know I just made fun of them for the snot joke, but I did chuckle at this.
I like musicals because I think I had my first makeout during a musical.
What musical were you and your mom seeing?
Come on, that's pretty good.
That is good. Jason's quick. Jason's very funny. He brings the funny. He is the waka waka of this show, if you will. Another thing that they do in the show, and I don't know how much they do it nowadays, but they would go into the audience and let the audience ask questions about the movie. Yeah. And the audience asks dumb questions that don't lead to comedy, as in this example.
And my question is, did you notice that at the end of the game, they flash to the scoreboard and they're down 10 points? And he's like, all right, get the ball to me. And then it goes back to the scoreboard and then they're just down 2 points.
I did notice that. That is a big thing on the internet.
So Paul Scheer goes on for 2 or 3 minutes about, that was a mistake and they probably could have fixed it because it's just animated and it could have gone in. Someone should have noticed it. Thank God for Jason Mantzoukas.
I not only didn't notice, I don't give a fuck.
I'm telling you, this guy, if he was teamed up with someone who was relatively interesting to hear from, he would have the greatest podcast in the world. I don't know what Jason's doing with these two duds.
I don't know what he's doing either. And I feel like my number 15, I chopped this up and it's taken out of context, but I feel like this might be an actual conversation that Jason and Paul have had about the future of the podcast.
I don't have anything left to give.
Well, we can end it.
No, it's fine.
Yes.
That's it. It's fine. It's fine. That's what I realized after listening to 2 hours of the latest episode. It's fine.
I have a quick ISO that I know I threaten this a lot, but this might stay on the board.
I'm not kidding. I don't know what you just said.
That could be said a lot after June goes on one of her nonsensical tirades about nothing.
Yeah.
Here's another reason why doing live shows in theaters for a podcast sometimes is obnoxious.
June?
I'm sorry, I'm distracted. A grown man just walked down the aisle in a diaper.
I'm sure that was a lot of fun for everybody around the grown man in the diaper, but for me listening to a podcast, not that exciting. Not that interesting.
Yeah, now the cats one they did through diaper, whatever. I don't know what they did through, but I'm sure they're sharing their screens. You can see them, and I'm sure that that's helpful. But if you play number 6, this is a small part of them basically watching a DVD extra. This was 3 minutes straight of this podcast.
Take a look at a little bit of Cat School.
Oh, God, do we have to?
You told me I was going to get to go to cat school every day for work? What? And I'm like, how does a human portray being a cat?
It went on and on. For 3 minutes, I clocked it, and they're not really interrupting. They're not talking over it. We're just listening to this.
Yeah, I have an example of this, too, from the show in Chicago, because sometimes they'll play clips from the movie, which is fine if it's dialogue, because then you can get into it. Oh, remember this conversation or this part of the movie? They're playing clips of some type of pratfall or something here.
Let's see what happens here.
EEG, reflex test.
They all did their own stunts.
What's crazy is that
I thought that was a pretty good stunt, though.
Yeah. I also didn't see it coming. I didn't see it coming. It was funny.
Let's watch it again, Paul.
EEG.
I mean, that's pretty good.
Will you play it again and watch Patrick Ewing?
So they keep playing this clip over and over again. There's some visual gag that I don't know what the fuck it is. And June has to interrupt people to tell them to play it again.
Patrick Ewing is so slow.
This girl.
Patrick Ewing.
Play it one more time.
No, stop playing it. We get it. It's fun.
That's crazy. Because they'll do it from time to time, and they'll even acknowledge, and they'll say, this isn't going to work for, the audio medium, the people out there listening. It's not going to work. But to play something 3 to 4 times in a row, and to keep that in the final cut of an episode, they have an entire team working for them and pulling clips and finding the movies and editing this. I don't understand why some of this stuff gets to the final episode.
Because the audience doesn't give a shit for some reason. The audience eats this up. I think that there's probably a lot of people like you and me and Tony from Hack the Movies, who I want to bring on, who used to be fans of the show and then just got really tired of how lazy they are.
Yeah.
And how little effort they put into being entertaining or funny. And with that segue, I want to bring Tony from Hack the Movies on the show. Tony, what's happening, buddy?
Hey, what's up?
What is up?
This sucked. This was like, I was depressed all day. I like you guys, I used to love this show.
Yeah.
Like I listened to the beginning. I was a big fan of The League, the show they had on FX.
Sure, yeah.
Until season 5 or 6 when it just got wildly unfunny. The League was great.
Yeah, I did get. I still thought it was okay, but yeah, if they had gone on like another season or two, it would have sucked.
Can I tell you who the funniest character on The League was? Jason Mantzoukas.
Yeah, Rafi, obviously, 100%.
Obviously.
You know what's funny? Paul Scheer, he's kind of like his character from the show now. Like he became that character. He's insufferable. Yeah. So I haven't listened in a few years because they were getting like super political at one point.
Yeah.
They had that thing called the Big 100 where they were trying to get people to do some shit in the community. And I'm like, what the fuck? Why is this on this podcast? So I haven't listened in a few years. And I checked it out. I listened to the Cats episode first.
Oof.
And right away we have, all right, fuck Earwolf, by the way.
Yeah.
So every episode now starts off with a plug for a different Earwolf show. Did you play my number one?
Right now on Earwolf, Bill Nye the Science Guy and Ophira Eisenberg join Nagin on Fake the Nation to discuss combating climate change and their mutual love of Canadian cereal. For more, follow @Earwolf on social media. Happy listening.
That's the worst promo. We're going to talk about climate change and cereal we used to eat.
With Bill Nye the Science fucking guy.
Jesus
like,
Christ.
That was so fucking bad. So I'm jumping back in.
And also, like, the lack of energy from that woman to start that is crazy. Karl, you should look for her to maybe be the new review girl. She's paid for that.
So did I forget something? Earwolf was like a network of comedians who had podcasts, right?
It used to be, yeah.
Used to be.
What the fuck? Bill Nye the Science Guy and cereal, and it's being read by a sleepy broad? That was so fucking cringy. And then the ad reads have gotten worse. Like, the ad reads were pretty bad back in the day.
Yeah.
But they have gotten worse. They plugged this thing called BetterHelp. Yeah, which they're still plugging. A few years ago, it was like this service where you could like call to talk to a quote professional if you were depressed and shit. And it turns out like it wasn't actually professionals, and they got in a lot of trouble. Paul reads this ad, and I swear to God, he's crying. Can you play my number 2?
If you think you may be depressed or you're feeling overwhelmed or anxious, BetterHelp Online Counseling offers licensed professional therapists who are trained to listen and help with anything. I mean, it could be loss, it could be relationship conflicts, it could be anger, self-esteem. They are a full-service organization to find you a perfect partner.
This is in the middle of like what's supposed to be a funny comedy show.
So wait,
and then you get reminded of loss and depression.
You're telling me that some rando on the internet isn't a licensed therapist?
No shit, Sherlock! No shit! By the way, okay, my number 3, they picked the most... I know they use this promo code for everything, but they should have changed the promo code for this ad. Can you play number 3?
BetterHelp Online is taking away the stigma of not addressing your own mental health. Get in there, figure it out. It is worth it. You're going to feel so much better for it. BetterHelp is a affordable option for our listeners, and they'll get 10% off the first month with a discount code of bonkers, SBONKERS.
The definition of bonkers is mad or crazy. So you're trying to sell this to people who are depressed and have poor mental health, and then the promo code is fucking bonkers? I couldn't fucking believe that. Like, just for this one ad, change the promo code.
Yeah.
Jesus Christ.
It's funny you should bring that up, because early on when they first had them as an advertiser and Paul read that, he even acknowledged it. He was like, well, that doesn't sound right. We should probably change that. And they never did. Yeah.
And it'd be one thing if he was doing like a jokey kind of ad for it, but he's like pretending to cry and shit. So yeah, the last thing from Cats, they don't have to do much research. My number 4, they're talking about how they did the cats.
So here's my question. What part of their costumes do you think is CGI? Obviously, they're taking out genitalia, but sometimes I thought they weren't, because there are times where the male cats are just sort of in shadows down there.
Well, I'm guessing just like in my kind of, if I'm thinking practically in terms of making this movie, my guess is everybody is wearing like a green screen jumpsuit.
No, I think they're wearing
is CG.
I think they're wearing actually a little bit of cat fur. By the way, look at this. I mean, because I think head wise, I think their makeup is done, but I think everything below the neck is CG.
Hey, let's prove that we've done zero prep and we're not prepared to talk about this movie.
By the way, the entire time that was playing, I Googled Cats movie behind the scenes, clicked images, and I found it right away. Yeah. They're wearing, they could have literally just pulled out their phone and just searched it, and they would have gotten their answer.
The majority of the podcast is them arguing about this, and near the very end, they're like, oh yeah, Jason was right. It is just green screen. I was like, no shit. I didn't do any research. I watched a preview and I knew that.
Yeah.
It's not like the speculation is fun or interesting or funny. They're literally having a debate about it.
Right.
No, I think maybe they did it this way. I don't know. Maybe they did it that way. Okay.
And I listened to 2 more episodes. So I listened. Okay, do these air on something else first and then come out months later?
Well, they do the live thing. So I guess, I don't know if it's months, but I think that you get to watch it live.
You know what? And I don't know the answer exactly, but I did just listen to a little bit of the episode that came out today, and they're talking about Halloween.
Yeah. Oh, wow. So I listened to it's called Love's Labor Lost.
Yeah.
It's an overly ambitious Kenneth Branagh film, and I'm about to review a different Kenneth Branagh film. So like, all right, let me check that out. This is my favorite. June admits that she can't act. She shits on the actors in the movie for not being Shakespearean enough, but then admits that she didn't get into the Shakespearean school. It's my number 6.
And he has a handle and a command of the language that not every actor in this movie does. No. And I appreciated it. I appreciated it. I heard it. And by the way, I don't either. I auditioned for RADA. I did not get in. I was not accepted.
And by the way, the one actress she's shitting on is Alicia Silverstone, who was in June's shitty movie Ass Backwards. So I thought that was pretty funny.
All right, well, good for her then.
Yeah. And then my last clip, because you already talked about that Jane. They tricked me with that Jane Club shit. Yeah, it wasn't labeled mini-sode, so I started listening. I'm like, nope. I listened to their Breakin' 2 episode.
Yeah,
and like June is insane. She's like trying to rationalize this shitty breakdancing movie. And of course, she figured out a way to work her politics into it. It's my number 7.
By the way, it also seemed like that shopping center was so large. Like if they would have had to taken out all the housing around there too. Like
it was
that was
like as
giant...
big as the Staples Center. It was gigantic.
By the way,
believe me. I mean, Los Angeles has been sold off to developers, and it's one of the reasons why I am voting for Nithya Raman for LA City Council.
Absolutely,
third, because our current councilman. David Rue is literally that character in the movie who has sold off this city to developers.
It's so fucking cringe these days. I don't know how I was ever a fan of this.
Well, since you played that clip at the end of the Cats one, Paul has to work his politics into it by talking about the clothing that he's wearing.
Anything else that you all want to plug? I'm wearing a hat that says vote, and if you're in the States, I'll say that, yeah.
He's wearing a hat that says vote. Thank God Paul Scheer's reminding me to vote because nobody else was.
Yeah, no.
I didn't get one single reminder that voting was important, except for Paul Scheer's wearing a fucking hat.
Well, and also, I think it's important to note that this episode, while it was recorded or Skype or Zoom or whatever, whenever that was, this came out 2 weeks ago. Like, just cut that out.
Yes. That's a very good point. And I also want to point out that they're very concerned about COVID, but I didn't realize this. There's one way that guarantees you will never get sick.
Please wear a mask, everybody. Please wear a mask.
Please wear a mask.
They think that the only people who get sick are the ones who are like, fuck that, I'm going into Walmart without my mask on. Shit, now I'm dead. It's like, that's how this works, you fucking morons. Like, if everyone just wear a mask, all right, anyway, I don't want to get into political talk. What else you got
they have barricaded themselves in their households. This is so apparent over the past few episodes.
Jason is still the best of them, but like even him at the beginning of Cats, he's talking about his like mental state, and I think it's like, I don't think it's a joke. He seems to not be taking like quarantine very well. He seems to be freaking out about it.
Well, they're losing work, and this isn't good for anybody. Everyone's freaking out about it.
How are they losing money? They have 17 goddamn ad breaks.
Well, that's true. They're doing all right. I'm just saying, like as many acting gigs probably as they're used to, or selling out theaters. But yeah, they're probably making more money because instead of just selling out a theater in LA, they can actually sell $15 tickets to the entire world.
Yeah, you know what's sad? Like, I remember when it was just in the studio, then they started doing the theater stuff. And the theater stuff is okay, but like these days, like they need the theater or this show doesn't work. It's they by themselves, they forget they're reviewing a movie and they just have conversations. Like the newest episode, they go on for like 10 minutes about like auditioning for roles and talking about auditions. I think they forgot they were doing a show and just talking about the stupid acting shit.
Well, they probably are saving money. I assume that Paul and June were able to fire the hordes of people that were raising their children for them.
Wow. Now it's getting personal.
They sound like they hate each other. They've gotten worse. Like, I was shocked that they're still together because it sounded pretty bad when I was still listening, but they just have nothing but resentment for each other, it seems.
All right. I think we gotta move on. I think we've done a good job of analyzing.
Real quick, Karl. You know, I don't really like to plug things, but
Tony, you never talk about what you're up to. Can you please tell the listeners of WATP where they
just
can find
this
you?
once, I think I'm going to plug some stuff. If you want to know more about Cats, me and Tab from Here's What I Don't Get, we did a Cats commentary track a little bit ago on my Patreon. Check out my show talking about tapes on my YouTube channel, Hack the Movies, and Karl, I have a Godzilla podcast.
Oh, Jesus. I heard you talking about this.
Yeah, Catzilla versus the Pod Monster. I think that's a pretty good Godzilla podcast name. Please check it out one day. For the love of God, don't review it. I'll kill myself. But please check it out one day. I'd love to have you on at some point.
Awesome, man. Yeah, I'd love to come on. And Tony, thank you for coming on WATP and bringing it today.
Yeah, no problem. Thank you.
Yeah, well done. Nice talking to you.
All right, bye.
So, yeah, the reason why the little tongue-in-cheek shit there is Tony went on the Dick Show and only promoted himself. He didn't have a conversation about anything. It was the silliest appearance I've ever heard somebody going on another person's show and just the entire time talked about, I got this YouTube channel. We're doing this new thing about Godzilla. It's like, all right, I got to go. See ya.
Wow, he's like a regular Chad Zumach on your Patreon episode there.
Yeah, something like that.
The amount of times that guy brought up his Patreon, I was laughing. It was so preposterous.
Yeah, we got some fun things to talk about with Chad Zumach and the falling out with him and Stuttering John. But I wanted to give you a chance because you have more clips here. Is there anything else you wanted to play from How Did This Get Made?
Not really. There's a couple good Jason things here, but I want to play this because I thought this was so telling of what June is trying to do and the fact that Jason and Paul kind of had enough of this. June tries to drag Paul, and Jason is not playing along. Play my number 11.
Paul thought that main cat was Taylor Swift for an hour and 15 minutes.
I didn't think it for that long, but at the beginning, I thought it because I knew she was in the movie. But
I still think it is.
But
Paul thought it for almost the entirety of the movie.
I still think it is.
The minute she spoke with a British accent, I was like, there is no way this is Taylor.
Or when she was dancing around on Point.
Like, she thought that was going to get such a laugh. Can you believe that Paul thought that Taylor Swift was in this movie for that long? I could see her building it up in her mind. This is going to kill. Jason's going to jump all over him. It's good. Nothing. They never talk about it again the entire episode. It's such a failure.
Isn't Taylor Swift in this movie?
She is, but I think it was like so crazy. Like,
he thought this cat was Taylor Swift, but it was actually this fucking cat. Like, okay. They're just dressed like cats.
Yes, they all look the same. They all have whiskers. Like, okay, great. He thought it was somebody else. Hilarious, June.
Jesus Christ.
Who are these podcasts? WATP.